And Conforto slashes one the other way. Base hit! That ties the game! Alonso in! Baez digging for third. It's kicked by Alfaro. Here comes Baez trying to score. He scores! And the Mets win it!
All right, welcome back to Not What It Seems. Today's August 31st. What we have, 30-ish games left? A little bit over that?
Yeah, I think the last day of games is October 3rd.
Okay.
So, about a month.
About a month, yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, what was favorite thing you saw this past week?
Well, so you don't really see the Dodgers have a position player pitch very often because, let's face it, the Dodgers don't get blown out very often. I don't even think the score was that high when Justin Turner came in to pitch. I believe it was on Sunday or Saturday. I think Sunday, and he goes on the mound, right? And he's like warming up, and he's literally wearing his sunglasses. And he wore his sunglasses like when he pitched, and he threw a 1-2-3 inning. Like
I did
never
not
see a guy
that.
wear sunglasses out there, dude. I saw it like yesterday, and I was like, man, you got to be kidding me! Like that is just like so pro to go out there as a position player and wear fucking shades. Like I loved it.
Dude, the quality of position players pitching this year has been fantastic.
It's been one of the best years. Oh yeah, like who'd we have? We had Brock Holt was fantastic.
Brett Phillips.
Brett Phillips was awesome. Oh my god, man, this is a good year for that.
No, yeah, I can't believe the Dodgers even needed that. I've never seen a Dodger position.
Yeah, like I don't even know what the score was, but like I'm almost positive that it wasn't like super out of reach. Like I don't really know what happened.
Yeah,
I just think it was a series against Colorado. So I literally just think they were like, fuck it. Like, we need to save guys for this week, whoever we play this week or something. I don't know what the situation really was. I know they're playing Atlanta right now, so they kind of had a big series this week.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. It was kind of strange to see a Dodgers position player go out there. But
no, yeah.
What about you?
For me, yesterday, Trevor Story hit a bomb, and it was a pretty disgusting bat flip. It was one of those that, like, went flying out of his hands like the second he made contact. It was if you haven't seen it, look it up. It was pretty quality.
I have not actually. That's Trevor Story. I feel like kind of a low key dude most of the time too. I feel like he doesn't usually go out there and do that.
No, yeah.
Not that he shouldn't, but I'm just saying. Like I feel like I've never really I've seen a bat flip a little bit, but from what you're saying, it sounds like it's a pretty big one out there.
Who does the best flips? You think? Like off the top of your head.
I mean, top of my head is Rougned Odor.
Odor?
Yeah.
I feel like Didi, when he was with you guys,
Didi would do a lot.
It was pretty gross. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you got to go back to Bautista. That was one of the most legendary bat flips of all time. Drill. But I feel like Cespedes had a few good ones.
Cespedes had some nice ones.
Like, he had one, I remember, in the playoffs in 2015, where he just, like, he hit it and he just, like, tossed it. Like, it was a cool one.
Against
remember
the Dodgers.
That was
I'll never forget that home run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, speaking of Cespedes and Mets misery, we have a lot to get into.
Lots to unpack here, dude. I'm very interested to hear the thoughts of a Met fan because I know we texted a little bit, but let's hear it. What do we got?
Dude, when I first heard this story about Lindor and Baez, my buddy had texted it to me. And he just said something about them booing the fans or thumbs down. And I was like, all right, that's kind of weird. Like, that's just wrong. And then I really thought about it. I started to read more about it. I was like, what? Like, our players are rebelling against the fans in New York?
Right.
Like, and just so many just absurd things about this. So Baez, after the win, they won the game, and he goes up with his kids sitting on his lap in the post game, and he's just like, "Nah, we don't feel good when you boo, so therefore we have to give it back to you." Like, are you, guy? Do you know where you are? Forget the majors. You're in New York. I don't know what he's thinking, and for a guy who also wants a huge contract, and I'll get to Lindor in a second, who's going for a huge contract this offseason, I don't know how the Mets sign him now. I don't know. I feel like other teams might be discouraged from signing him now. I don't know. I mean, obviously he's going to get a contract somewhere, but so that's from Baez's point. I guess I kind of skipped over Lindor, but oh my God, we just paid Frankie $341 million, and he's booing our fans. And this is also a guy too, dude, who like we've talked about like his leadership and just like the great personality he brings to the clubhouse, and like that's like this looks awful. And Sandy Alderson came out after the game and was like we're absolutely not putting up with this. And by the time this episode comes out, they might have. Today's Tuesday, so there might have been apologies by now that we haven't heard yet. But
there may even be punishment that we haven't heard of, either from Sandy Alderson or from the front office, which, you know, that's a whole nother situation. But it'll be interesting to see if something comes up about that.
You know, man, I found this Domino Sorta quote this morning. He said, "Listen, if you start worrying about the people in the stands before too long, you're up in the stands with them."
Right.
So,
man, I just like there's so much. Like I was with you when I first saw it pop up on the bottom of the screen when I was watching TV. I think I was watching. This happened on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So I was watching the Yankee game at 7. We played at Sunday Night Baseball, so I was watching on ESPN, and this all of a sudden came up on the bottom of the screen, and I was like, huh. I was like, that's a little weird, but I didn't really hit me how fucked up it really was at the time until they started making a big deal about it too. Like on the broadcast, like before the inning was back, they would show the Baez interview or stuff. And I was like, you know what? Like, that's a little, I don't know. Like, how do you do that, man? Like, you're in New York. Plus, like, it's not like he came from like the Yankees, so he's played in New York, but Chicago is a big market city. Like, it's not like New York or Boston or LA maybe, but like,
yeah,
it's also not like Miami or Minnesota. So he's kind of, not that he's been booed necessarily by his own fans before, but there have been times where they haven't been happy with him for sure. Like, it's Chicago, man. Like, it's not like he's in a small market over there. So I don't know how he can be so inconsiderate of like knowing the fans. Like, I don't know. It's just a bad look all around.
And like, this is never. I never want to look at players as like robots who like all they just do is perform. Like, they're humans, right? And like they deserve respect. They're more than just what they are on the field. But like, when you make the money you make, and like you're playing in a place like you are, you deserve to hear criticism. I don't know.
Especially when you're at the stadium, like the fact that you're making all this money, right? And again, like Lindor is more so in the money part than Baez because Baez just got traded over. Let's say you're looking at it from the money point though. Like, Lindor is making how much fucking money per year now? And guess what? All the fans at the stadium have to pay like $100 at least to be there.
Right.
Okay. You don't know where they came from in New York to come to the game or in the country.
And you're going to fucking do the thumbs down contract through their revenue. Right.
Oh, yeah. Plus, like, Lindor is one of the faces of baseball. Whether he's played bad this season or not is irrelevant in the fact that Mr. Smile, Francisco Lindor, is a face of baseball. And that is a fact. And he has had so many positive fan interactions. How do you possibly think that this is okay to do? Like, it almost leads me to believe that you were saying how Baez probably doesn't re-sign with the Mets now. Like, Lindor's a big boy. He can make his own calls, but him and Baez are buddy-buddy. They're both from Puerto Rico. You don't think Baez had something to do with the fact that Lindor started acting like this towards fans? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who thought of it first. We don't know. And like Kevin Pillar also did this, and he's not known them his whole life.
That one,
it's a different situation.
That one really disappoints me too. I loved Kevin
Pillar, dude. The fans have had your back all year. You got hit in the face, like everyone was supporting you, and you're gonna do this? Like, I'm sorry, man, but you can't. I'm sorry, but it just.
It's really frustrating. And, you know, actually, I forget where I was listening to, but someone brought up a really good example of how to respond to criticism in New York. John Carlos Stanton. has taken so much shit. I don't know. I've always thought too much. I feel like I've been on his. I've been with him this whole time, even though some fans have completely killed him during his time. He just goes out there. He accepts it. He's adjusted. Like, he's playing great right now, which is almost besides the point. But he just put up with this shit, and like he makes a ton of money, and he just doesn't. I'm sure he's bothered by it, but he doesn't make up this shit.
Like, it's almost like he knew how to act right away when he got here somehow, whether it had to do with getting to know Aaron Judge very well in the offseason before he came over, or getting to know Booney very well, or just talking to Yankees fans over the years. Like, he got here, he got booed to shit, and he never said a word. And, like, I mean, he's probably my favorite player. He has been since his days in Miami. Mm-hmm. So I've been following him for years now.
Yeah.
And, like, he's taken way too much criticism. I agree with you. Like, he's had great seasons, not like 59 homers, but first season here, he drove in 100 RBIs. Like, and he got booed the whole season. So,
yeah.
I mean, you got to, like, if you're on the Mets, like, realize that this is just New York, dude. And, like, whether you like it or not, that's irrelevant because you're on the team. Do you want to play with the fans or do you want to play against the fans? Having arguments with the fans just is not going to work, dude. I'm sorry, but I'm interested. I would be interested to see what guys like Jacob deGrom and even like a guy like David Wright, who's not here anymore, like, they're Mets legends. What do they think about this? Because deGrom's not there right now. I would really love to hear his opinion on this because I don't know what he would say publicly. I would love to know his personal opinion, really, because I don't know if he would be for it or against it. I'm assuming against it, but
oh yeah, I think guys like him would be against it. I just don't know how vocal they'd be to the media about it because like then you're turning on your teammate. So like I even think of like Pete, like Alonso, and I'm sure he'll say something to the media's effects like, oh yeah, like we can't have that, or like we just gotta stay positive. But yeah, I don't think they come out and bash because that's a weird situation. I'm kind of curious, man, what the fans do now. Because do you boo them further because they're acting like dicks, or like do you stop because that was the whole reason it started? Like and like that might hurt their performance. Like you know what I mean?
Man, I mean, like, instinct opinion, they're gonna fucking rip them. The fans are, but
yeah, but like, what does that do then? That just makes it worse. Like, I feel like it's it's been doing like a rock in a hard place.
Yeah, it's like counterintuitive to do that to them because they're just gonna. But New York fans, dude, like,
yeah.
Let's face it, we could be stubborn assholes sometimes, and we could really be dicks to players for no reason. Not us specifically, but New York fans can do that. I don't necessarily see a world where they don't boo. I don't see it. I really don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Mets fans kind of realize, like, they are human beings, but I don't think that's going to fly in New York. Like, they're not going to listen to, I don't know, man.
Yeah. But again, too, those things aren't mutually exclusive. They can be humans and, like, be totally respected, but we can also boo when they don't do well. Like, that just, I feel like that's just always how sports have been.
To me, a fan has every right to do whatever they want. Except, like, okay, no, that came out wrong. Like, to do whatever they want, except for, like physically harm, like, they can say whatever they want.
Yeah.
And, like, as much as maybe you don't disagree with a curse you say, or, like, obviously racial slurs and things like that that's not good. Like, you can't say shit like that. But, like, if you want to go out there and fucking boo, by all means, you have the platform because you paid to go to the game. And if the guy you paid to go see didn't perform, go ahead. I wouldn't personally do that. I never have done that, but I think you're entitled to your own opinion. Like, a person is entitled to do that if they would want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And yeah, man. And again, just like the context is so important here. Like this team is just collapsed
falling
over the last
apart.
month.
Yeah.
And Lindor is having the worst season of his career by far after we just handed him a bag. And Baez, like, his numbers aren't actually that far from where he was last season or with the
No,
club,
they're not really, honestly.
But still, like, God, his on base is like 250. And he strikes out all the time. I just like, what do you expect?
Dude, it's almost like he was like. First of all, I don't think he was realizing how big of a deal it was going to be saying this.
No,
number one,
probably not.
Because he wasn't like saying it like he was angry. Like he was just saying it like, oh yeah, like this is what I did. Like, so I also think that he probably realized after the fact how fucked up it sounded what he said. But what I think too is like he just came from somewhere where he was a god in Chicago. Yeah. No matter how bad he performed after the 2016 season, they didn't care, really. He broke a curse, dude. Like, the biggest curse in sports. Over 100 years curse of not winning the World Series in Chicago. Like, if he steps foot in that city now, he gets free food, stays at a hotel for free. Right. Everything, they treat him like he's amazing. And then he comes here and gets booed. So, again, I'm not saying he was justified, but I also feel like it's almost a bit of, like, shock to be receiving this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Lindor was beloved in Cleveland too, but he didn't win a World Series, so it's a little bit different with him.
Yeah, I think. But I also think. Go ahead.
How does he do this when he just signed he just signed a contract, dude? Like, do you want to have a bad relationship with fans for the next 12 years, 13 years?
I think this thing reflects worse on Frankie than it does Baez. Partially because he just signed, yeah.
Like, as much as we thought when the trade first happened, and, like, it could still happen. Baez could still re-sign as a Met.
Yeah.
Like, as much as we thought that that's possible, Lindor already did. So that's why it looks worse on him. You know what I mean? That's just really the issue, I feel like, is him. Because Pilar was on a one-year deal as well. So he might be gone. Like, that's not that important. Like, Lindor is supposed to be the leader of this team.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And I know he's new, and like you can say that DeGrom or Alonso maybe should be the leader, but Lindor was the guy who just got the huge contract, so that gives you a right to be somewhat up there in charge of the guy, like in charge or whatever, like a guy to look up to, and that's not what he's really been these past few days at all.
Yeah, and I don't think I look at, especially a guy like, I don't know Baez as well. I look at a guy like Frankie. I really don't think he's some bad guy or just like he's some asshole. But I just, because of everything I'd seen before this, like even he would go out in the middle of innings and just like check on pitchers and just always be like super encouraging to them. Or like he just, I remember JD Davis saying like Lindor would turn the clubhouse into like a club after a win, and they'd be like celebrating like crazy, like just like the atmosphere. I mean, like
I almost feel like, again, that's like they didn't realize what they were doing.
Yeah,
like because like I agree, like Lindor isn't like a bad guy from what I've seen either, and like I just think they kind of thought it was funny. Like I feel like they almost thought it was like, oh well, the fans are booing us, but they don't actually hate us, so like we're just gonna do the same thing back. But, like, we don't actually hate the fans. I really feel like that's what's going through the head.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, in a place like that's not New York, that might fly because the fans aren't booing you with so much passion. But, like, here, I don't know if it's that different. Maybe not so much. But in my opinion, I feel like it's different.
It's probably worse. I'm not sure it would really fly any place, honestly. But, yeah, I agree. It's amplified here. Yeah. So...
Yeah. But I did see something positive about Lindor. I saw that he was actually at the U.S. Open yesterday, and some fan was yelling at him like, hey, Lindor, like, no more thumbs down, thumbs up from now on or whatever, like being nice about it. And Lindor was just like kind of smiling and doing this. So like it's kind of, if fans can somehow be a little bit nice about it and Lindor and them realize what happened, hopefully this is all in the past, and maybe this makes the Mets go on a big run if everybody looks at it in a positive way.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, you never know.
I had a thought and I lost it. Oh, I was gonna say I miss the thumbs down Yankees. the Todd fodder Yankees with that was the only good thumbs down.
Man, when I first saw this, I was like, what are they doing the same thing? I was like, oh, it's stupid. And then I realized it wasn't. I was like, oh, okay. Well, but at first I was like,
oh, okay. Now I remember. I was going to say why they even start in the first place. It was because of the fan. I meant the picture of the.
Yeah. And then Frazier started doing Oh, yeah, man.
I wish I was that. I wish that was the situation we're in right now. But,
dude, I mean, God, it's just such a Mets thing. I hate to say it like that, but man, it is, and it sucks because, again, like, it just I feel like every year something like this happens to you guys.
Shit. I thought
whatever it is.
I thought the rat in the clubhouse was going to be like maybe like the worst.
Yeah, see, dude, that doesn't even matter compared to this. You know what I mean? That's like way less of a big deal. So. I don't know, man. You got a month. Mets can turn it around.
No, I just want the season to end. I'm so done. I'm so clocked out. Jacob deGrom is apparently like trying to get his arm ready. I'm like, Jake, it's okay, Jake. Go back to bed.
After he saw this, maybe he's just like, yeah.
No, he's like he walked out. He's like,
I'm like, oh man, I feel a little something in the elbow. Not that I'm coming back this year.
Sorry, Luis.
Yeah.
Man.
That's by the way, we didn't even get to talk. Hold on, we didn't even get to talk about this. Do you see the other day when they were yelling "fucking fire Rojas" or whatever too?
They were.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In one of the games before this happened, it was like last week in the middle of the week. Everyone was like chanting like "fire Rojas" or something when you guys were losing. It was the game that he took out. He took out Taijuan Walker at like 70-something pitches or whatever, and then you guys ended up blowing the game or something. Whatever happened.
To me, the whole fire manager thing is a very casual take. I feel like Aaron Boone has been like called to be fired in like every season he's been with you guys, and he's just never the problem though. Like it's just always the players, or like you can argue the GM putting the players on the field. But I don't know. I feel like there are a few situations where that actually solves your issue. But
I agree.
Well. That might be it for the Mets today. I think I've had enough. Red Sox got Brad Peacock. That's great.
Yeah.
That's
former Astro, so obviously he's one of our favorites. But he did win the World Series in 2017.
Good on him.
Yeah.
Giants. No, I just really want to move on from the Mets.
It's time to move
on. Orioles. Are they officially eliminated? Is that it now?
Pretty sure they're officially out of contention.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, they're 50 games under 500, so I can't say I'm particularly surprised.
I mean, so they're 40-90, right? I think is their record about. Yeah. Fun fact, they were 1-17 against the Rays this season. So that'll tell you.
That's not very good.
No. But hey, Trey Mancini. Good for Trey Mancini. Cedric Mullins. Good years.
Trey's doing well. I like Cedric Mullins. He's good.
Everybody else has pretty been the worst players possible this year. So
not yet, pretty much.
All right, so going to kind of dive deep right now into something that I found pretty interesting about like the current AL playoff teams as of today who are in the standings. So right now, obviously, it's the Rays in the East, the Astros in the West, the White Sox in the Central, and then the Yankees and the Red Sox, as of today, have the 2 wildcard spots. So what I found pretty interesting was that the White Sox are not beating good teams. And what I mean by that is they're not beating teams with records above 500 like the other teams are. So to give you an example of this, obviously the White Sox are in the Central, so there's not very many good teams in the Central. They're probably the only one that's above 500 as of now.
Right.
So against teams with records below 500, the White Sox are 54-30, which is by far the best out of any of the AL playoff teams as of now. But they have a 22-27 record against teams with records above 500. So I think that's pretty significant. Obviously they against us this season, as an example, they've gone 1-5.
Yeah.
So we've won 5 games against them this year, and they've been good games. Like it really could have gone the other way in some of them. And just think about it though. The only game they beat us in was a Field of Dreams game where they barely hung on, and then
I was
going to
say,
walk-off. So
I remember going into the Field of Dreams game. I was just kind of like looking at the roster, and they were beating up on you guys for like most of the game. I remember thinking like they were like at least a favorite for me in the AL. I just thought they were stacked, and I almost feel like since that game they've just looked different. Like so in like since they won that game, they're 0-5 against you guys, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Liam Hendricks has struggled.
Yeah.
A decent amount.
I think Craig Kimbrell has struggled too.
Okay.
Somewhat. Which, like, again, you expect them to not, and I feel like they'll get out of a funk probably pretty soon.
Yeah.
I just think, so I think that we've seen with some teams sometimes that they kind of waltz into October because they don't have divisional, they don't have anyone up, right behind them in the division. And then it almost hits them like a ton of bricks once they play a good team. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not that I don't think they're a talented team. That's not what I'm saying. They have a great starting staff. Their lineup is nuts. Jose Abreu just became the first player to do 100 RBIs in the league. They're a good team. How much does it concern you? That they don't really necessarily beat the good teams like everyone else does. For an example, the Rays are 39-35 against teams above 500. The Astros are 40-26. The Yankees are 42-35, and the Red Sox are 40-39. So the Red Sox are about 500, but still, it's above 500 right now. So,
it would concern me definitely. Well, I mean, one thing you just said, Astros are 40-26. I think that's by far the best record of the ones you just said.
So the Yankees have 42, but they've lost 35. So we've played more teams than they have against them. But I mean, obviously, again, the West too. They have the A's and the Mariners. I think the reason why the Yankees have so many against teams above 500 is because in our division, it's the Rays, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays. In the West, it's only the Astros, Mariners, and A's. So,
and in the Central, it's literally just the White Sox. That's why they have such fewer games against over 500.
Exactly.
Yeah. But still, it doesn't matter. In the fewer games they've had, they've been under.
Right.
So, I feel like this kind of changes how I view them, especially the way they played the last few weeks. I mean, just going off Houston at 40-26 against the over 500 teams, that.
And if you look at it right now, if it started today, they would be playing the Astros in the first round.
Okay.
Because the Rays would have the top seed. So,
not to be oversimplistic, but that leads me to believe Houston's the best team in the AL if they're going to play that way against the best teams, you know?
Right. I agree. I really feel honestly, the fact that we, the Red Sox, the Rays, and the Astros have all played more games against better teams means we're better prepared for October.
Right.
Let's say if the standings stay the same way they are, and these 5 teams are the ones that make it. Obviously, there's a few more in the hunt, but I just feel even their starters, Rodon has had a great year. Giolito has had a great year. Lance Lynn's had a great year. But I'm pretty sure, we obviously scored some runs against Lance Lynn in the Field of Dreams game.
Yeah.
I think at that point, his ERA was at 1.9 something. It's a little bit higher now. It's not much higher, but Giolito, though, I've seen have some blow-up games this year against some better teams. Rodon, too. Plus, Dallas Keuchel hasn't been great this year
I was about
either.
To say, Dallas Keuchel's stats have been kind of awful compared to
I think they have honestly, right now, Dylan Cease may have that 4th spot compared to Keuchel. You never know because Keuchel has the experience, but I don't know. I just thought it was very interesting when I saw that, and I was like, man, that's pretty significant. If you can't beat good teams, what makes you think you're going to beat them in October? Especially when the White Sox made the playoffs for the first time last year in almost a decade, I'm pretty sure. So all these other teams have been to the playoffs very recently and had success too. Obviously, the Rays made it to the World Series last year. The Astros has made it to the World Series twice in the past 4 years. The Yankees have been in the playoffs every year since 2016, and the Red Sox won a World Series in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, they've all been around the block, so they kind of know what they're doing. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like, again, obviously they have a successful playoff manager in Tony La Russa, too, which could help come October time. You never know. But I don't know, man. It's almost like I would be – if they play the Astros have got to be heavily favored in the first round.
I would think so opinion. At this point.
And it's like not like they're not good either because
I'm looking real quick. Their run differential is 3rd in the AL. So Houston's number 1, Tampa's number 2, White Sox number 3. Mm-hmm. Toronto's actually 4. Toronto's
man, they
118,
score a ton of runs.
And they're in 4th place right now.
It's crazy, yeah. That's why, like, I hope they don't jump us and the Red Sox. I feel like they have a good shot to jump Boston at some point because of the run differential. But but yeah, I mean, like they're up there with scoring runs. Like I don't know, man. It's just interesting that they haven't beaten these teams. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they played poorly against the A's too at some point, like very recently. I'm not sure though.
We should dig up their record, the White Sox record against non-central teams. I'm sure that's somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would be a very telling stat too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know they haven't played well against the Rays. They haven't played well against us.
Right.
I'm not sure about Boston. I'm pretty sure they haven't played great against Houston either.
Yeah.
But again, like they've done what they're supposed to do against the bad teams. Like they're 54-30 against the bad teams, which is by far better than any other team. So like they're doing their job in that aspect, like for sure. Which you would expect though. It's almost like it's a given that they're going to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would it almost be like scarier if they weren't beating the bad teams and they were beating the good teams, or what's worse? I don't even know what's worse.
I feel like worse is losing to good and beating bad, because I feel like it's just a better. I feel like everything would be the same.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a White Sox fan and you're like really pumped about this team, though, like how concerned are you about that? If you just heard that stat and it's like a month away from the playoffs,
probably a little bit. Yeah, I would say a little bit. I still just a ton of talent on that team, but I'd say a little bit.
I think is they would be in Houston to start the series right now. I think they have to do everything they can to get home field advantage against the Astros if that's who they're going to play, because that would give them a slight advantage.
Agreed. All right, so get into a little bit of what it seems and not what it seems. I want to talk a little bit about Eugenio Suarez on the Reds.
Eugenio,
yeah. So his current stat line this year, 119 games, 169 batting average, 23 bombs, 66 RBIs, 618 OPS. So from 2016 and 2019, he was batting 266, about 100 points higher, 33 bombs, 90 RBIs, 845 OPS. So he's dropped considerably.
Yeah.
And now he's...
Wow, that's a lot. That's crazy.
And now he's basically in the platoon position with Mike Moose at third base. So I'm just curious your thoughts on him, because I remember in 2019, he was like neck and neck with Pete for the home run crown.
Yeah. Man, like I knew he dropped off, but like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Like, he even like, it was a shortened season, so like a lot of people had bad seasons last year, but he even began to kind of drop last year. Like his batting average last year was 202, and his OPS was 781, which was like way below what his usual mark was. And I think that like, I don't know what the deal was. Like he was an all-star in 2018. He came in top 20 in MVP voting in 2018 and 2019. I mean, I think what kind of maybe screwed him up a little bit this year, they put him at shortstop to start the season, and like he hadn't played short since He hadn't played more than 6 games at shortstop from 2016 to 2020, but they put him there because they had India playing second, and they were going to put Moustakas at third.
Yeah.
Because India kind of burst on the scene, so like they had to play him. That was kind of what happened there. So like you wonder if playing that position maybe had something to do with it, but because he started to downfall last year, I almost don't think that's the case. I don't know, man. It's like now he really is platooning for the most part with Moustakas, and let's face it, that means Suarez is hitting against lefties and Moustakas is hitting against righties, so Moustakas plays more.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can't even picture. I didn't even know he was playing shortstop. Like he doesn't strike me as like a guy that could. I can't picture it.
Well, I'm pretty sure he did come up as a shortstop.
He did? Okay. All right.
So he did back in the day, but like I feel like he's gained like a lot of muscle, or he's just bigger than like the average shortstop. So like that wouldn't really have made sense to me. And I think he did start to make a lot of errors too, which is why they started moving him away from shortstop now.
So we had dug up a couple of StatCast numbers, just comparing his past 2 seasons and why they dropped off so much. So one of them, expecting batting average, that was 216 last year and 205 this year. So not that much higher than what he's at. What, 169 right now? So
that's not really much.
About the same. His K percentage last year 29%. This year 30.8%. He strikes out a ton. I think he led the league in 2019. I don't know if he's leading it this year, but he's probably pretty darn close.
I'm pretty sure he was in like the bottom tier of the league with that. Like he was really up there. So,
I mean, getting to another one, barrel percentage was 14.4% this year and last year. So that was the highest of his career. So when he's making contact, it's pretty good. He just doesn't really make it.
That's kind of strange. Like maybe he's just got to focus on taking less of a bigger hack. Like maybe just try to make contact more. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I'm curious to see how many at bats he'll get. Like if the Reds are currently holding on to that wild card spot as we speak. So if they're in the playoffs, like does he, how much is he playing?
Yeah, I mean, I also thought it was interesting. Like this year, his launch angle, and last year has been the highest of his career too. Like his launch angle last year and this year is higher than it was in the 2019 season when he was neck and neck with Pete.
Oh,
but yet he's barely hitting as many as he did those years. Like, I honestly, it seems like he's just literally missing half the time, more than half the time. Like, I don't know I don't know. Maybe I don't understand why, because if he makes contact, it looks like he would be fine. But like, again, like obviously he's missing a lot because his K rate is through the roof. So,
I mean, that offense, even with him doing like almost nothing, has been fantastic. So if he actually figured something out, like they would really be a team to watch. I know you're
I mean, oh man, see, I have been for the past 3 years now.
Yeah,
but like a big reason why I was in the beginning was because of Suarez being like an MVP candidate, pretty much.
Right, it wasn't because he
dropped
Jesse
off
Winker,
a cliff.
or like
no, like I didn't even know who Jesse Winker was 3 years ago.
Exactly.
And, like, they didn't have Castellanos and they didn't have Moustakas. Like I was big on them before that, and then they got these guys, and these guys have been good, and then he's just dropped off a cliff. So I mean, I don't know. Like Votto is still having a great season.
Votto's really
like obviously back. Jonathan India is like a stud. He may win Rookie of the Year. I don't know. It's just crazy, like to think about. Like, let's say he just clicks in September, and then they have to figure out a way to play him every day. Let's say maybe they move India to short, Moustakas at second, and Suarez at third. I don't know what they would do. I don't think they want to put Suarez back at short, though, because he was really bad defensively. I don't know. It would be very interesting.
I just wouldn't rule out a comeback from him just because of his track record, Like, I mean, he might be done. Like, that you might have seen the best of him, but
he's still only 28. He's 28.
Only 28?
Like, he's not old.
No.
Because he came up with Detroit when he was 22, I think. and then he got traded over to Cincinnati the next year. And I'm pretty sure that was only 5 or 6 years ago, right? I'm almost positive.
Yeah. No, it was not that long ago.
Yeah, so he's very young. Like, he may not have even hit his peak yet. That's the thing. Like, he may not hit his peak until he's 30. Like, some guys don't hit it.
It's true.
So that 49 homer season might not have even been his best season. Like, you never know. Who knows? I mean, maybe the shortened season fucked him up and he hasn't been able to recover since. That's also like a thing that happened to some guys. I feel like, I don't really know, but all I know is he was a stud back in the day. I drafted him in fantasy every year if I could. And he was very underrated power hitter. Did he ever compete in a derby? I feel like he might have. But
I think so. Sure. Yeah, I feel like 1 year at least.
Like, he was that guy, and now he's this guy. I can't believe that's. I can't continue to believe that that's going to be him. I don't think so.
Yeah, I could see a bounce back. Yeah. So, get into another power guy who was not really before this season. Salvador Perez is on a run right now. So, from 2013 2018, he didn't play in 2019 for injury-wise, but he had averaged 21 homers, 74 RBIs, 731 OPS. He is at 38 homers right now. 38, 94 RBIs, 859 OPS. He's only 4 behind Ohtani right now. Just off the top of my head, like, one of the better catcher, I'm phrasing that weirdly, hitting seasons in like recent memory for me.
Oh yeah, like power wise, absolutely. Like I mean, everything wise, honestly, he's gonna hit 100 RBIs probably a week into September. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, think about it. Yachty's had some good seasons, and he's never even had as good of a season as this. I don't think Buster has had this many home runs in a season.
No,
has he? Maybe Buster's had close to 30, but I don't think he's ever had above 30. But yeah, I mean, obviously Perez has been like a great player too. Like, throughout his career, he's been a solid player. Like, from that span you said, from 2013, which was his first full season, through 2018, he was an all-star each season. He won a Gold Glove every year except for 2017. He was a Silver Slugger in 2016 and 2018. And obviously, we remember the 2015 World Series when he pretty much put the team on his back and said, we're going to win this thing. So, you know, obviously he's known as a great clubhouse guy. He's known as one of the greatest guys in baseball. But to come out and have this kind of pop, like, Ohtani's getting praised for having a great year, and, like, he is.
Yeah.
But to have a guy who's never had more than 27 homers, who's a catcher, so he obviously doesn't play as much as other guys, hit this many homers, and this, like, it's September tomorrow. Like, that's kind of crazy. He could probably has potential to hit 50 this year. If he keeps rolling like he is, that would be crazy, dude. Like, absolutely nuts.
I think, I mean, you obviously have Ohtani and Vlad in that, like, upper tier of MVP guys right now. I still think it's Ohtani, but Ohtani, Vlad. And then, I never would have said it, but he's right behind him. He's, like, in that next tier.
Yeah, I feel like it goes, like, Ohtani, Vlad, and then, like, Perez, maybe Judge is up there, and then maybe, like, Teoscar Hernandez is a guy we talked about a couple weeks ago who's having a great season, too. What I think is interesting about Perez, too, is that, like, dude, he's always on the field. Like, before this year, again, like, he would occasionally DH or play first base, but during the 6-year span when he never played less than 129 games in a season. For a catcher, there's 162 games. Most catchers probably play, 110, 100 games maybe? Yeah. And he never played less than 129. And he's played 129 games this year, like, already. So he still has a month left. Yeah. I mean, if he plays, I don't know, they probably have about 30 games left.
Yeah.
At the rate he's going, I don't see him playing less than 25. I really don't.
So that puts him, like, we're around 150-ish for the year.
Like, maybe one off day per week, probably, for the next few weeks. Like, that's just crazy to me as a catcher that he's actually doing this.
No, absolutely. I mean, a couple StatCast stats that were kind of interesting. His launch angle is actually lower than his 2016 and 2017 numbers. So he usually averaged around 18.7. He's at 15.3 right now. So take that for what it's worth. I mean, but if you think about how he's kind of changed the type of hitter he is. So is that his barrel percentage is career high, hard hit percentage, average exit velo, all of these. Like he's now in the top 10% of the league in all of those categories.
So it kind of looks like he's just smashing them and they're going farther. Not that he's having a bigger launch angle. It's just like he found a way to hit it harder, and that's making it just line drives. It's making his line drives just go farther, pretty much. Like it's not like they're higher home runs. It's just like that they're going farther.
I guess so.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, his walk rate is 3.8%. That's like the bottom 1% of the league. So he hasn't. His patience hasn't really changed.
Wow, dude, but that's crazy then. His OPS is 859 with a walk percentage that low.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Wow.
Like, dude, imagine if he actually just took a few more pitches.
Oh, my God. Dude, he would have like a 900 OPS. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean, yeah, obviously not a great season for Kansas City, but he's etching himself now in their history, probably as one of the better players.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think this is what would have happened if Hosmer or if Moustakas or if Kane would have stayed. Like, they would have like been in Kansas City lore. They would have been like gods. And, like, I think that's what Perez is becoming. Like, I don't see him playing for another team, to be completely honest with you. Like, they just gave him that team-friendly contract. Or, no, they gave him a bigger deal after the team-friendly one now. But what, is it going to put him through his age 35 season, I think? He's 31 right now. I don't see him.
Yeah,
I can't see him playing anywhere else. No,
probably doesn't have a ton left.
Plus, the Royals could be good again by the time he's like that age,
That's true.
Then he might want to stick around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus, if he's not able to catch anymore, then plug him in a DH every day. Like, you know what I mean? Like if he's hitting like this, they're gonna have room for him. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd say the biggest breakout this year. Off the top of my head, can't think of anyone else right now.
Especially at age 31, like most people say.
That's the other part of it too. Man, like he's been around.
You're like above, Most people say like once you hit 30, it's all downhill from there. Like, well, look at him and look at the guys in the Giants this year, because it's not the case. So
no, exactly, yeah. All right, quick standings recap at the time of recording, August 31st. So, like we said, top 3 teams: AL, Tampa, Houston, Chicago. Then Yankees are up 2 for the first wildcard spot. Red Sox have the second. They're up 2.5 on the A's. Blue Jays 4.5. Still think there's a shot for them. I don't know. I just look at them. I still think they're good enough. Apparently Seattle's tied. Okay, I didn't realize Seattle was tied with the Blue Jays for 4.5 back.
So
that seems
as of now, the Blue Jays have one less loss, and the Mariners have one more win. So that's why they're technically tied.
Gotcha.
But like, it doesn't even make sense to me. Like that Seattle's there with Toronto, because I feel like Toronto's just been such a better team. But I guess they've been doing something right. I don't know.
I also don't think. I don't know. I'm not really high on Boston. I don't think they hold on to that second spot.
Yeah, man. Like I said myself, I wasn't really high on them. They've gone 6-4 in their last 10 games, so like not bad, not great. I don't know, man. I just don't think they have the pitching. Like, again, obviously Chris Sale's back, but what's he going to give you, man? Like, he just had Tommy John surgery. You can't expect him to be going out there throwing amazing every time. Like,
yeah.
Plus, they have him for a few more years, so you want to be careful with him. Like, you know what I mean? Out of Oakland, Toronto, and Seattle, who has the best shot, do you think, of taking the spot from Boston? Do you think this is Toronto?
Yeah, I'm going to go Toronto. Yeah. What about you?
I mean, I want to say Toronto, but, like, Oakland always seems to find a way, man.
I know. So. I think we're skewed by Toronto's just so much more flashy. than Oakland.
I know, yeah.
Like Oakland just so boring.
Like,
sorry,
Oakland just does their
like,
fucking thing, man. Like, yeah.
And good on them. But like,
yeah. But what I like to look at around now is like I was saying, how Boston is 6-4. Like, I want to look at how teams are in their past 10 games, like as of now, and like who is really making the push. And like, Toronto is 6-4, and Oakland is 4-6 in their last 10. Not that that's that much of a difference, but before the past 2 games, I'm pretty sure Oakland had like they lost 2 to us, and then I think they lost 2 before that. Or 3 maybe. Like they kind of are streaky. Like they'll go out there and win a few, and then they'll fucking lose like 6 or 7. It's just like weird. Like I feel like if they were consistent, they would pretty much have that second spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Yankees too. It's like we were on that big winning streak, 13 gamer. Then that got cut for us on Saturday, and now we've lost 3 in a row. Not that it's that many, but
right.
You know, we lost a game in Anaheim last night, dude. I mean, if we're trying to hold on to that spot, we can't do that. So yeah, I mean, I think in the American League, there's just I don't see the Mariners doing it, honestly. Like I don't. I think like with the Blue Jays, their starters have been pretty bad, but I wouldn't be surprised if like they get in it if their bullpen suddenly is lights out somehow, because their bullpen's been bad. Like they traded for Brad Hand, and I think he's been horrible. So that doesn't really help.
No. Shifting to the NL for a bit, something I noticed. So the Dodgers, if they were in the AL, would have the best record, and they have a wild card in the NL. So, I mean, 83 wins. Like they might be one of the better like wild card teams in like recent memory, honestly, at 83-49. But they are 1.5 games back right now of San Francisco
in the division. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And to give a perspective, they're up 12.5 games on the Reds for the top wild card spot right now.
Yeah. I mean, they're far, far better than Atlanta, who's not going to play in that wild card game. So, you know, it is what this happens. It's not like this never happens. Like,
no, it definitely does happen. It's just like, man, if they fucking lose that game,
that would be a colossal failure.
They would have to like seriously rethink this wild card thing, and maybe just be like, do it in best record order, because. I know that's the argument for another day, but like for Atlanta to have 70 wins right now and for the Dodgers to have 83, I mean, come on.
Well, I don't want to help the Dodgers at all. Like I have no sympathy for them at all. No. But no, I do agree. At some point, I feel like that's just a better system. But I mean, look at how it is right now. Cincinnati is up half a game on San Diego, and Cincinnati is actually playing, and so. Backtrack a second. St. Louis is 2.5 behind Cincinnati. Okay. And they're about to play each other 3 games. So that's actually a pretty big series. Especially because Cincinnati, I think at this point, lost 3 in a row. Yeah, so, if they really want to put the hammer down on this spot, like, this is the moment.
Could you see the Cardinals just saying, like, fuck you to Cincinnati and going up there? I really could, because they've been, like, the big bad wolf in that division.
That's such a Cardinals thing to just, like, barely slip in, and then they'll definitely win the World Series if they do that.
Bro, oh, my God. With, like, a rotation of John Lester, J-Hap, and
right. They would find a way. Like, you know, I have no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about San Diego struggles a lot last week. They've looked since then. You know, nothing's really changed.
No, Tatis has still been doing his thing, so that's all that he can do.
Yeah, he's been the one guy that has. I feel like he's been pretty damn consistent, and I'm
gonna say too, like I know the Padres have that bad schedule we talked about coming up.
Yeah,
and I get that, but again, Jake Cronenworth, Eric Hosmer, Manny Machado, all these guys, you're telling me they're gonna suck the rest of the year? I don't see it. I'm sorry. But plus, I don't see the Padres coming anywhere close to the division, really.
No.
But again, let's say the Giants have the inevitable collapse that we all thought was going to happen, even though I don't think it will happen now. They've proven it for 5 months, but like,
yeah,
if they collapse and like something happens to the Dodgers, I mean, I don't know. They seem like a team from the beginning of the year that was good enough to win the division.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, it still wouldn't surprise me too if the Dodgers overtake the West, because I think
not at all.
the Dodgers and Giants play a little bit more this year too.
I think the expectation is they will. Yeah.
Right. But I think the Giants are just taking that like an underdog, like a chip on their shoulder. They're like, yeah, we got this. Like, what a story it would be, man, if they finish first in the division. I mean, they have the best record in baseball right now, with a month to go. So
I mean, they're well over pace for 100 wins right now.
Oh, so. Yeah. Also, like, I think the Brewers don't get talked about enough because they have such a big division lead, but they have 80 wins right now. Like, they're relatively close to the Dodgers and the Giants for the best record in the league, and I feel like no one even talks about them.
But... That's fair. I guess if I wanted to make a case against them, I would say it's almost like the whole White Sox thing where the division just sucks, so that's part of what's inflating them. No, but I say that, I still don't really even buy it. Like, their pitching is way too good.
They do have the Reds and the Cardinals trying to get a wild card spot too, so it's not as bad as the other division. But I agree with you; like, it is a little bit worse. I also think like the Phillies are definitely not done yet. Like we said, the Cardinals are 2.5 out. The Phillies are only 3 out of the wild card spot, so they have the easiest schedule. Like we said too, coming up.
That's
plus
true.
They're only 3.5 out of the division, let alone the wild card.
That's true.
Like, they could easily win the division if they take advantage of this bad schedule, like the bad teams they're about to play.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not high on them. I know the schedule's looking easy, and they definitely could pull it off. I just look at like San Diego and Cincinnati as just like significantly better.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what Atlanta does, because I honestly think the Phillies have a better chance at winning the division than they do the wild card. Not that Atlanta's going to drop out.
Oh, division. Like okay, I see.
Yeah, no. I think that the Braves are good too, but like that division, you guys beat up on each other, man. I don't know. Like, it's like, and the Phillies don't play the Braves a lot this upcoming stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So the Phillies, I think, play some better teams, which means they could lose. I mean, the Braves play some better teams.
Right.
So the Phillies could just gain ground because the Braves are losing. Like, and they don't even have to win. Like, you know what I mean? They could win at an average pace and still beat the Braves. I don't know. I know Atlanta fans don't want to hear that, because I do think Atlanta has a better team overall than the Phillies do, but I don't know. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's plausible. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just most interested in Cincinnati, San Diego. I would love for that even to come down to like a 163 game for that last.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be awesome. I can imagine who would it be? It would be like Castillo probably against Darvish.
I don't know who they throw out there, but didn't even think we'd be in that position in the first place. But
yeah.
All right, a few injuries to get into this week. I feel like, less than usual. But Gleyber Torres should be activated this Friday when the Yankees return back to the Bronx. So boost for them. Kenta Maeda will have season-ending elbow surgery this week. You know, not like they were going anywhere. But
yeah, I mean, if you're the Twins and you saw a little something, you just might as well be like, get it over with now. That way you're back, because there's no reason to keep throwing him out there. So,
all right. I mean, that's how I feel with Jake. So, George Springer came back. What was it, yesterday from the IL?
Yeah,
so
I think
if Toronto wants to make that push, there's their boost now. I mean, he'll
be a big part of it.
Other than, I feel like once he's been injured a few times now, so now I'm losing track. But when he's been healthy, he's been really good. So,
yeah.
And then Mike Trout, probably haven't heard that name in a while, might be shut down for the season. He was rehabbing. He felt more calf discomfort. So, there's nothing really to say that. It just sucks. Like, I feel like
I know
we just want him to do.
It's almost like we're wasting like his best years, whether he gets injured or he doesn't make the playoffs, and it's like, and
what is he now? Like,
a lot
31?
of people. I think he's 31.
31.
Yeah. So he still has time. I don't think the Angels are going to make the playoffs anytime soon, though. So, Mike, it might be time for you to ask for a trade, man. Sorry. I know you like it there, but if you want to play in October, I don't know.
He's honestly, but that's the other thing, too. He's been injured a lot in his career now. There was someone, I think it was 538, the website. They were like mapping out if he didn't get injured this much, he might be like the all-time leader in home runs and stuff, but like he's gotten injured like a fair amount now. So
I saw something. I don't know what year exactly it was, but either since 2017 or 2018, Aaron Judge has played more games than Mike Trout.
Really? That's kind of hard to believe.
So that puts it into some perspective because obviously everybody says Aaron Judge gets hurt a lot.
Right.
Unfortunately for baseball, Mike Trout has been getting hurt more than that, and that really sucks for the sport because, like, he's the face of baseball. Even though you got Tatis and you got Ohtani, like Mike Trout's been the best player in baseball for a decade now. So everybody knows who he is. And like before he got hurt this year, he was having a good year again. Like he's on my fantasy team this year. He was hitting 333. I think he had like 8 homers, 30 RBIs, whatever many games he had. Like he was still having a fantastic season, and he just hasn't played now since I don't know, maybe May. I don't even know when he got hurt.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while. So yeah, I mean, you hope to see him, but if we don't, hopefully he comes back fully healthy next year.
It was interesting you brought up the whole face of baseball thing because I wonder next season. If he isn't, like, I wonder if Tatis and like Vlad have kind of taken that. I might be too early saying that, but like that, it almost just feels that way now.
No, it does.
I think of them more when I think.
Oh yeah, sport. I also think it's like obviously it has to do with some injuries, but
of course,
it also has to do with. But I think it also has to do with Trout not being as like flashy as them, and that's true. It's not a fault on Mike Trout. Like. He's a type of player that reminds you of Derek Jeter or like David Wright or like just a quiet guy who does his thing and doesn't really say much. And that's okay. But I think that's why people are going to start to really associate Tatis and Vlad and Ohtani because they're more flashy. And like just think about it now too. Like there's a whole probably 3 or 4 generation of kids right now that haven't seen Mike Trout play like we did. Like back in the day when he was winning the MVP and like when he was doing all this stuff.
Like the young kids, Right,
that's what I'm saying. Like the kids just really getting into MLB like right now. Like they're not going to remember these fantastic years from Mike Trout. They're going to see them on like online, but they're going to be like, "Oh, well, he's not on the field. So like why is he the best?" Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of interesting.
That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very strange because we obviously saw him have these amazing seasons that were almost like unreal. It was like what they're seeing from Ohtani right now, not to say that Ohtani, like they're not the same, but before we had a guy like Ohtani, Trout's seasons were like that good. You know what I mean? Even though he wasn't pitching every 5 days, it was still, I mean, his seasons were unbelievable. And I feel like there was even a year where Miguel Cabrera beat him in an MVP when Trout had like one of the best seasons ever.
I think it was his rookie year. It
might have been. Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Like, we remember those fucking MVP races, and kids now are going to be like, Mike Trout is an MVP. What?
Miguel
like, that's
Cabrera. Who? Like, okay.
Right, exactly.
You're to your point. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, maybe Trout will just start to be some fucking flashy bat flip guy, and then he'll be back up there.
I'd be fine with that. I hope he proves us. I hope he totally proves me wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
What series looking forward to this week?
Well, like I mentioned, Giants Dodgers do play this week. So they play Friday through Sunday. So I think it's in San Francisco too.
Okay.
So this is the time for the Dodgers, man. If they can sweep them in San Francisco, that would be a really big statement. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't see a sweep happening because of how good the Giants have been, but you never know. I would never put it past them.
That's big. Okay, I'll be watching a little bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Astros at Padres Friday through Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, Friday through Sunday. I mean, we talked about like Padres like just have to nail us down now. Stop.
Yeah, and especially playing Houston, like that's a tough series. Like let's say too that the Giants like sweep the Dodgers potentially, and then the Padres sweep the Astros. They're not going to gain that much ground, but like it would be kind of interesting down the stretch because it would be like, We got a little
right.
something.
Yeah, I think it's more just about holding that spot at this point. But yeah, no, I mean, could happen. Yeah, but yeah, if they can.
Is it? Did you say it was in San Diego or is it in
San
Houston?
Diego? So they got that going.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, they could take 2 out of 3. I feel like that'd be kind of encouraging. I feel like then you're kind of on the right path. If you're being
I agree.
I think, like we said, I feel like Houston's at this point is like the front runner in the AL. So.
Yeah. So I got a stat of the week that I found pretty interesting.
Okay.
Like we talked about Tampa Bay, and like they're obviously in first in the AL East. They get underappreciated significantly, but one guy who I feel like hasn't even gotten talked about much since he got called up is Wander Franco. And do you realize that he's gotten on base 30 games in a row?
I heard that yesterday, but I to that point before that, I had no idea.
Yeah. So, and remember, he's 20 years old. So this is like unheard of at that age. This is like, we're talking about Trout's early years and Harper's early years. That's what this is like.
No, he's younger than us. I mean.
Yeah. Like, that's nuts to me. So right now, he's tied with Mel Ott from 1928. Wow. That's a long time ago. By getting on base 30 games in a row at age 20 or younger. So there's a few guys ahead of him. Mel Ott also did the next year for 33 games in a row. Arky Vaughan for 33 games in 1932.
Sure.
Mickey Mantle at 36 games in 1951. And then Frank Robinson at 43 games in 1956. So these guys all did this when they were age 20 or younger.
Wow.
And Franco's already at 30. I mean, I don't see him slowing down because Tampa's doing so good. Like, do you think he gets it? Like, he gets over? You think he gets over 43 games on base? It's not that much more if you think about it.
Yeah, why not? I think he gets it. He's on.
That'd be interesting, man.
Great vibes. Yeah. I when you sell that, almost reminds me of. I wonder if, like, can you imagine the playoffs if he goes on like this sick run as like a 20-year-old? He almost pulls like a Juan Soto.
Or like Randy Rosarena did last year. Not that he was that young, but that would be such a Rays thing to do because they just did it last year. So
they're crazy. I really just don't understand the team. But that's fantastic. Wow.
I hope he keeps it going. I really do.
A 20? Jeez. Good for him.
Man, like imagine we were doing that at 20 years old.
No, I was like 30,000 deep in student loans at 20 years old.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Wander Franco.
Big difference there.
No, a little bit.
Yeah.
That wraps up for us. We will be back next week. Take care.
Yep. See you guys next week.